In today's world, you have to wait to get up on YouTube before you can start. I'd like to call this City Council meeting of June 21st to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Gregg, Councilmember Shealy.
Here.
Councilmember Saccharin, Councilmember Mitchell, Councilmember Brady, Councilmember Gregory, Councilmember Waring, Councilmember Seekings, Councilmember Shade, Councilmember Bowden, Councilmember Appel, Councilmember Parker, Mayor Tecklenburg.
Here. And now, if y'all would like to join us, Councilmember Saccharin will lead us in an invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a prayer first introduced by the Office of Black Catholics in Baltimore to remember Juneteenth. We pray, O Lord, for change. Jesus, you revealed God through your wise words and loving deeds. And we encounter you still today in the faces of those whom society has pushed to the margins. Guide us through the love you revealed to establish the justice you proclaimed, that all peoples might dwell in harmony and peace, united by that one love that binds us to each other and to you. And most of all, Lord, change our routine worship and work into genuine encounter with you and our better selves so that our lives will be changed for the good of all. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Council Member. And before we start our proclamations, I know many of you have been here before, but just in case someone is new, in the unlikely event we need to evacuate the building, the two exits out of this main room and one door to my right out of that room are the three doors out of this chamber. And in that event, we would ask not to use the elevator, but to take the two stairs down and then the one stair out the front, just so everybody knows. Okay, our first order of business tonight is to recognize Jim Newsom. He is the outgoing CEO of the South Carolina State Ports Authority. And also with him, I'm going to ask Jim to join me up here, along with incoming President Barbara Melvin and Chairman of the South Carolina Ports Authority, Bill Stern. Would y'all please join me up here on the podium? And Jim, we have a proclamation that I would like to read and proclaim to our city. If you come to the other side, that way your colleagues can join us. Whereas the city of Charleston wishes to recognize Jim Newsom, who has been president and CEO of South Carolina State Port Authority since September 1, 2009, and is retiring in that role on June 30th coming up. Jim received a Bachelor of Science in Transportation and Logistics in 1976 and a Master's Business Administration and Transportation and Logistics in 77 from the University of Tennessee. He was the top graduate in College of Business Administration for winter quarter 1976. Jim's leadership has led the Port of Charleston to achieve consistent record-breaking volumes while growing above the market. As a top 10 U.S. container operating port, South Carolina Ports brings new business, economic development, and 1 in 10 jobs to the state of South Carolina for the benefit of our citizens. Jim Newsom has led South Carolina Ports to attain many notable achievements, including modernizing of the Wando Welch Terminal, deepening Charleston Harbor to 52 feet, opening 2 rail-served inland ports, and opening the first greenfield, that means new container terminal in the United States since 2009, known as the Hugh Leatherman Terminal. And Jim has received many prestigious awards, including the 2021 International Maritime Hall of Fame Award, the South Carolina Economic Development Association Distinguished Service Award, Roger Milliken Defender of Manufacturing Award, and the Containerization and Intermodal Institute's Connie Award. Whereas, even though all these professional achievements, Jim is most proud of his 37-year marriage to Kathy, their 2 children, Rachel and Matthew, and 2 grandchildren, Amelia and Nathan. And whereas Jim Newsom has had a tremendous career in the maritime industry, imparting his knowledge and wisdom to all he meets, he leaves behind a great legacy as the 5th leader in the history of the South Carolina Ports Authority. Now, therefore, I, John J. Tecklenburg, Mayor of the City of Charleston, in conjunction with City Council and in honor of his retirement as President and CEO of South Carolina Ports Authority, do hereby proclaim, Jim, today, June 21st, it's Jim Newsom Day in the city of Charleston. How about that? Yeah. May I say one more thing? Yeah. So, you may think that I just said it all in the proclamation, but I also wanted to share that I just stepped Jim and Barbara and Bill upstairs to a marble plaque that's on the 3rd floor of City Hall that recognizes the role that a former mayor, John P. Grace, who the bridge was named after, really brought together the properties that became the South Carolina Ports Authority. All the terminals was done just a little over 100 years. And I share that because, Jim, this city and this council has such a vested interest in the Port of Charleston. And we are so proud of the work that you've done. All the things that I cited in the proclamation to continue that legacy and to create excellence here in Charleston with port operations. And I bet Mayor John P. Grace would be awfully damn proud to see what you have done with Port Authority. So congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you very much. What a great honor, Mayor Tecklenburg and members of City Council. It's something I will never forget in my life. I was actually 4 when I got my MBA, just by the way. I'm just saying, no, not really the case. And certainly Mayor Tecklenburg has a big tie to the port by virtue of the fact that his father was the chairman of our port in one of the heydays in the 1980s. So I really wished I had known him. Charleston's been a port city since 1670. It was one of the founding pillars of this city, basically. And the modern sort of incarnation of this port as a state entity was in 1942, after Mr. Grace had sort of pulled everything together in 1923. And certainly in my time here, and both with Mayor Riley and the council then, and you, Mayor Tecklenburg, we have really felt it very, very important to be good partners with the city of Charleston. It's our namesake. It's our global brand together. We have a global brand, which is Charleston. It's known all around the world. So it's something we're very, very proud of. We coexist happily together. And what I would like to really say and ask your help is that I think the best potential for cooperation is still to come as we embark on the exciting project, which is the redevelopment of most of Union Pier for non-maritime use, which will really reunite the great people of Charleston with their beautiful waterfront, taking a few fences and buildings down here and there that probably are unsightly as we know that today. So it's a marvelous opportunity. It's a win-win. I say that very rarely. In business, win-wins aren't always win-win, but this is truly a win for everyone. And we look so much forward to working with you, to being very transparent in that process. We've got a great team. And I will equally assure you the port is in great hands going forward. Barbara Melvin will be the 6th CEO of the port, and she is a more than worthy, capable successor, and the port will do better going forward than it's ever done. So this is an honor that I will treasure all of my life, and I'm really very, very, very grateful to all of you. Thank you very much for having me here tonight. Have a good party. Thank you very much.
All right, next up, we have a proclamation recognizing Alzheimer's disease and Brain Awareness Month. I'd like to ask the incredible Jamie Roper, who's with the Mayor's Office on Aging, and Dr. Jacobo Minster to please join me up here. They both serve on the board of directors for the Alzheimer's Association from South Carolina. How are you? Good to see you. Pleasure. Just, oh, yeah, it's good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, there you go, spread out a little bit. Whereas 7,628 individuals in Charleston County are living with Alzheimer's disease or related dementias today. 95,000 South Carolinians are living with Alzheimer's disease. It's, as many know, a progressive disease that attacks the brain and results in impaired memory, thinking, and behavior. Whereas more than 6 million people in the United States are currently impacted by Alzheimer's. It's the 6th leading cause of death now in the United States and in South Carolina. Whereas unless a cure or means of prevention is found for Alzheimer's, those impacted in the United States will grow from over 5 to an estimated 16 million by the end of 2015. This disease is growing with no cure yet in sight. Whereas early and documented diagnosis of Alzheimer's or related dementia helps individuals and families access available medications, manage chronic conditions, engage in care planning, connect family caregivers with support services. Whereas an increase in public awareness about Alzheimer's and related dementia may empower our citizens to discuss cognitive changes with loved ones and to voice their concerns to healthcare providers. Whereas the City of Charleston recognizes the efforts of the Mayor's Office on Aging, primarily through Jamie Roper, the Alzheimer's Association and other advocates who increase awareness of Alzheimer's disease and other dementias by providing education, care, and advocacy to those impacted and to advance critical research efforts to one day end this disease. Whereas it is important to honor the courage and dedication of the individuals, families, and friends and caregivers impacted by Alzheimer's disease and related dementia, as well as the tireless work of researchers who seek its cause, prevention, and cure. And whereas I encourage all citizens to observe this month by raising awareness and understanding of brain health and learning the signs of Alzheimer's disease and related dementia. Now that therefore I, John J. Tecklenburg, Mayor of the City of Charleston, do proclaim June 2022 as Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month in the City of Charleston. So I would like to call on Dr. Minster to come forward and accept this and share some remarks with us. Doc?
Thank you. I'm honored. I would like to thank Mayor for this proclamation and the City Council. I'm honored to be here on behalf of the families and the people suffering from Alzheimer's disease, especially those veterans whose memories we need to preserve and those that I serve. But more important, I would like to thank the City of Charleston for making the point in the next month to promote behaviors that lead to brain health. So none of our parents, grandparents, the people we love, will forget the name of their children, the grandchildren, and the memories, the precious memories that make them who they are. So for our elders, for our veterans, and for the people in the City of Charleston whose memories will be preserved, thanks to our initiatives, these new initiatives that Jamie and their office is taking, I'm honored to receive this proclamation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Doc. And Jamie, could I ask you to briefly share with council our plans for the event at the Lewis Waring Senior Center coming up?
Good afternoon, everyone. On next week, Monday, which is June 27th, the mayor is going to hold a mayor's roundtable on brain health. We have invited several members of the faith community and some other key leaders of our community to come together with the mayor and with the Office on Aging and the Alzheimer's Association to learn about brain health, learn how to preserve your brain, your health, and your memory. Not only that, but to learn about the resources that the Alzheimer's Association and other organizations offer to help those families who are suffering and those caregivers who are taking care of them. This is a major initiative, and Charleston, South Carolina is the first city in this state to do a municipality initiative on brain health and Alzheimer's.
First city in the country.
First city in the country. So we are leading the way.
Thank y'all. And I think our older council members know this, but just to let the newer one know, Jamie Roper is an incredible resource, and be it Alzheimer's or any other special needs that you think a citizen, older citizen may have in our city, you call Jamie and she will connect them to the resource that will bring some help. So Jamie, thank you for the incredible work you do serving our citizens. We appreciate it. All right. Thank you all. Good to see you. So next up, I would like to invite Kelvin Bluffton and his wife to join me up here, along with Hannah Brunson, who is a representative of Congresswoman Mace, who sent this lovely thing to us in the mail, and I was so impressed with it that I wanted to share this story with council. And if you didn't hear about the amazing art of our own Kelvin Bluffton that was on display at the Julian Devine Center and now is at another location on St. Philip Street. Well, I'm going to read this to you. And thank you, Hannah, for being with us and representing Congresswoman Mace. She's back up in Washington. And she presented this to the Congressional Record. And it's a part of the National Congressional Record. And I just thought it was so nice. She included my name. I'm going to leave it out because the guy who really deserves all the credit here is Kelvin Bluffton. Madam Speaker, this is in the words of Congresswoman Mace. I rise today to recognize a tribute to first responders in Charleston during National Police Week. The city of Charleston and the mayor partnered with visual artist Kelvin Bluffton and numerous current and former law enforcement officials from across the Lowcountry for an unveiling of Escape. Escape is an exhibit of original paintings of first responders by Mr. Bluffton that is meant to educate young people in the principles of civil service and the subsequent responsibility of serving in our community. So it was beautiful art, but it also served a specific purpose that Kelvin had in mind to inspire young people to public service, particularly as first responders. ESCAPE stands for East Side Civic Art Public Engagement and is tailored to encourage young people to aspire to be first responders in order to better serve the Lowcountry. Mayor and Mr. Bluffton are helping to raise the next generation of public servants, and we couldn't be more thrilled with the progress they are making. Congratulations to them both, but particularly to this gentleman over here for the amazing unveiling, because he did all the artwork. So Hannah, thank you. Thank your boss for recognizing Kelvin. And Kelvin is a remarkable artist. He's also an officer in our livability department, and he does artistry on the side. And he's really an amazing artist. Kelvin, will you come forward and share any remarks you would like?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council. I want to recognize three people. One, Dan Riccio. Dan and I worked between us. We got about over 70 years of almost a century of service in law enforcement. And Chief Greenberg said to me one day, he said, any fool can take a report after something happens. Our job is to prevent it from happening. And so in our effort to harvest a new generation, we have to influence the youth, guide them away from crime, guide them away from violence. They don't want to march about it. They actually want to be guided into a new strategy. And so I also want to recognize Darlene Roberson over here. She's a candidate for county council, but she is a consultant and she works with the youth. And she's a proven leader. And we have to approach this thing differently. We can't march about something after somebody gets shot and fall on the ground. That's really, if that was going to win something, we'd be ruling the world right now. So we got to approach it differently. We got to guide our children into becoming the next level of first responders. That's why I have painted this series showing law enforcement I still got one to do because I got to do one for the firemen doing their thing. I got police, livability, EMS, all of that. So I still got to do my piece on the firemen. I promised the guys, and I will do it. And so also got to recognize my wife right here for putting up with me and painting this, getting paint on the carpet and doing all kinds of stuff like that and staying up late painting. So again, and thank you, Councilman Mitchell. That's the other one too, Councilman Mitchell, for your guidance and your assistance. And we're going to be calling on you and leaning on you some more for the East Side effort. Reverend Edmondson has donated land at 76 Columbus Street for the public art exhibit. So it'll be coming within a month. Anyway, so Dan, is that all right? You're gonna you got me? Okay, appreciate it.
Let's give Kelvin a hand. Let's get a little photo here together. Okay. Excellent.
Thank you.
Hannah, thank you for joining. Did you want to make? You're good. Thank you. You get to keep that.
I do.
Yes. All right, I think we've got one more recognition. That's a proclamation recognizing National Homeownership Month. Is Phil here with TD Bank? Please come forward. It's Dumichel. I got it. And Gianna Shaw Johnson. Gianna, will you join us up here as well? And Phil is with TD Bank Community. He's a community mortgage loan officers, and he's listen to this, y'all. He's financed 17 loans under our first time home ownership initiative. And we were so thankful for your partnership that on Home Ownership Month, Phil, we wanted to have you as part of this and recognize you and the work that TD Bank is doing with us. We're very thankful to you. So whereas National Homeownership Month provides the opportunity for communities to recognize longstanding commitment of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development in providing accessible, affordable, and equitable home ownership opportunities to residents in the city of Charleston and our nation. And whereas for millions of Americans, home ownership is the cornerstone of a life with security, dignity, and hope. And whereas the city of Charleston is committed to doing everything it can to address critical housing supply and affordability challenges while also advancing affordable home ownership and ultimately unlock generational wealth building. And whereas a home is more than four walls and a roof, it is a place where we can celebrate triumphs, weather the trials of life, watch our families grow and prosper. And whereas the aspiration to own a home is deeply rooted in the American dream and has motivated generations of Americans to search for a place to call their own. Whereas the mayor of the city of Charleston and city council have prioritized the creation and preservation of affordable housing as critical to the long-term success of our city. Whereas the city's first-time home ownership initiative, which partners with local financial institutions such as TD Bank to provide financing for a combination of newly constructed and rehabilitated homes for sale to low and moderate income families, supports numerous residents throughout Charleston by providing the opportunity to purchase their first home. Now, therefore, I, John J. Tecklenburg, Mayor of the City of Charleston, do hereby proclaim June 22nd is also June 2022 as also National Home Ownership Month in the city of Charleston. And I'm so proud to present this to Phil and have him make a few remarks about the partnership that we have with TD Bank. Phil?
Thank you, Mayor. And on behalf of those, some of the city execs would have liked to have been here, but they wear multiple hats and cover multiple markets. Some of them had to be in Myrtle Beach, and I think another one was on PTO this week. But we value and appreciate our partnership with the city, and it's particularly rewarding for me because those of you who remember me with a little bit less gray might remember that I ran a local nonprofit housing agency here 20+ years ago, and I was involved in one of the initial study committees that the former mayor had put together that ended up with the city's homeownership initiative. So it's particularly rewarding. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Phil. Awesome. Thank you. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right. So next up is our public hearings. I think we have about 5 or 6 of those this evening, and Robert Summerfield is going to present those to us. First up is an ordinance regarding 810 Meeting Street. Robert?
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. So as soon as we have the presentation up. So while they're bringing the presentation up, I will tell everyone about this one. So this is a height rezoning. This is in the UP zoning district. This property, as you can see here, is right at the corner of Morrison Drive and Meeting Street where they meet. It's the site of the Flatiron-esque building that's been proposed for this location. This is in our city center general plan designation. Again, in our city center is where we would expect to see our taller, more dense buildings, predominantly mixed use buildings, such as the building that is currently proposed for this site. This is a cleanup item, if you would. There was an error in reading the map, and it was, since it's UP zoning, it was understood that it was in the 412 height district, as most of the UP zoning district is. This process actually made it all the way through all of our review processes with the understanding and the belief that it was already in the 412. However, during the final round of TRC, it was found that it actually still has an older height district associated with it. So this is intended as a cleanup item. Here are just some pictures of the area. And here is the conceptual rendering that's been approved. And this has gone through BAR at this point and has been approved by the Board of Architectural Review and has made it most of the way through our TRC process. With that, Planning Commission has recommended approval of this item 6-0, and I can take any questions.
Hearing none, it goes to council.
And Mr. Mayor, I think we did have some citizens sign up to speak. Anthony Bryant.
Okay. Mr. Bryant, do you want to be heard on this matter?
And Mr. Mayor, what is the time limit? Time is 90 seconds.
Yes, sir.
No. Hakeem Madhubuti is a good book to read. All of his poems and writings for our young Black people in the community. Read a little more than March and even know knowledge itself. Anthony G. Bryant, 2123 Cortland Avenue, South Carolina 29403. This is my, to make sure the Public Safety Committee gets this. This is my identifier. So all the public comments I made in planning could be referred based upon SLED through the solicitor, a jurisdiction, the police department, or the attorney general from 2011 to now. So I made a public comment in 2013 at the Citadel regarding low to moderate income communities and Hurricane Katrina. Now you're adding to the map more density. You got a question in terms of paying folk to support these densities. So maybe, this up to council. He has his constitutional rights with his property, so I'm not addressing that issue. I'm addressing the issue in terms of the Administrative Procedure Act, because you had an administrator too that was in federal court, right? And it was found guilty or something. So how do we know whether or not the administrators you have now, and how do we know if that cost to support fire, police, they support
Time.
additional.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to be heard on this matter? Hearing none, it comes to council. We have a motion to approve. Anybody want to second it? Second, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Now for third reading and ratification.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Mr. Summerfield.
Thank you, sir. So the second item we have is a PUD amendment. This is for 2310 Henry Tecklenburg Drive. This is in the Essence Farms, West Ashley neighborhood, the Essence Farms Village Center planned unit development. This is an adjustment to their land use plan for this TSM number. It would change it from a business district identifier under that plan to a light industrial identifier. This is property owned by Dominion Energy. They want to be able to utilize the site for some utility laydown, as well as some offices, which currently would not be allowed under the business district designation, would be allowed under the limited industrial. The limited industrial would be limited on this site to just the business district uses as well as these utility type uses. With that, this is, again, it's a PUD. This is over in West Ashley. It is in a job center zone, which again is intended for light industrial or warehousing or other business district type activities with limited opportunity for any kind of residential district. Here's some pictures of the site. And then here's the actual text amendment, if anyone has any questions specific to that, and some additional imagery of the site. And with that, Planning Commission had recommended 7-0 approval of this request.
Go back to the aerial photo if you don't mind. So this is their site as well?
Yes, sir. And that one has already had a similar amendment to allow for light industrial, specifically for the utility usage or aspect of the site.
It just adds to their existing property?
Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you. Be heard on this matter. Yes, sir. Please come forward.
Well, good afternoon, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Thank you for what you provide for our wonderful city and just the amazing quality of life that we have. I'd like to put a face and a name to one of the neighbors. I actually own a townhome in Carolina Bay, Marside Towns on Henry Tecklenburg. This will be directly affecting some of us that live there. You do have a hospital there. You do have a few other businesses. You're also going to have some development with Glenn McConnell Construction. We just like to make sure that we're being safe and practical for the homeowner so that we can continue to have no noise, no smell, different things, so they keep it light industrial if we make this change. Please look out for us. You all go to bat for us every day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, can we get your name for the record?
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me. Austin Doyle.
All right, thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Would anyone else like to be heard? All right, hearing none, it comes to council for approval. We got a motion to approve. Oh, Mr. Bryant.
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir.
The rules provided for 1 to 6, Mr. Anthony G. Bryant. Okay, so the rules provided for that public comment to be made. I'm a stickler for the rules. That's why I didn't say my name. But I do want to speak on the issue.
I invite you to do so.
Okay, now,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Procedure Act, you have notice, right? Procedure, I'm here. An effective date is the third reading. Any citizen that has an issue with any ruling of council has a judicial review that they can provide judicial review or make a complaint to a state agency or anything regarding this body or anybody in the state. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to be heard? Yes, sir. Please come forward. Please state your name and address.
Muhammad Idris. Charleston claims to be the holy city. And we swear on the Bible that we're going to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. We take an oath before you become elected. But you are not following the scriptures. The hospitality that we do in Charleston leads you to the hospital. I guess that's why they spell almost the same.
when the people came up a little before and they talked about transportation, the Port Authority, and God do things in a great way. He brought another group up with the Alzheimer disease because you all, the crooks of this city, robbed the poor slave of their mind. They couldn't read. If they are caught reading, they would get nailed to a tree. So we do have a brain problem. The leadership of this city have a brain problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to be heard on this item? This had to do with Essex Farms Village Center PUD. Hearing none, it comes to council.
Move for approval.
Have a motion to approve. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 3.
Number 3 this evening is a text amendment. This is a text amendment to clarify the intent behind the height districts in the medical district. There was some conversation during the city plan about understanding what the intent with those height districts are. The medical district is the only area where we left height districts in feet instead of stories. Everywhere else in the city, it's stories. And the reason that was done because institutional uses, particularly medical uses, require higher floor to ceiling ratios than you would normally have in a residential project or a normal office, in large part because you have to have additional venting and wiring systems and what have you in either floors or ceiling for lab facilities and other things. So this amendment here just clarifies that the heights that are in the medical district are intended for those institutional uses. Any other use would use the predominant height of 5 stories within that area. To be very clear, this amendment does not affect any existing MU workforce housing zones, as those are kind of a separate zoning district, kind of apart from the other standard districts in our medical district and elsewhere in the city. So with that, any questions? Planning Commission did recommend, real quick, just to orient us, the medical district is here. We do have 2 areas at MU, West Edge, and a smaller property on the south side of east side of Calhoun. Still getting my directions. And then you can see those height districts in the various colors there. And Planning Commission had recommended approval of this 7-0.
Great. Would anyone like to be heard on this matter? Please come forward. Mr. Bryant.
I don't want to be germane to the subject. HUD was in town. The governor was in town and the mayor was there regarding flooding in the medical district. There's abutting other neighborhoods in that area. And because hurricane season began with June 1st, the question becomes, what's the mitigation for the other communities throughout the whole city in terms of how does this height increase deal with runoff now, not when you get the money to do what you need to do? What mitigations are going to be put in place to assist those folks who may not have any insurance, who may have issues in the community, who may have rental properties or whatever? How are they going to be able to deal with this text and map and the Planning Commission's initiatives to mitigate those problems?
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to be heard on this matter? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Arthur Lawrence, and I live on the west side, close to the medical district. And we have a problem with developers coming in, building 3-story houses in our community, and changing the zone. You go before zoning to get an increase on height in our community. You have all these Freeman cottages in our community, and these 3-story buildings coming into our community, overshadowing the Freeman cottage and changing the quality of life for the citizen on the west side. And now we have 3 came up before the zoning board the other day, but they deferred it. We need to stop this and take care of the citizen that live in this community, not please the individual who coming in there just for the goal in the community. And thank you. Let it keep that height district in the medical district, and don't let it come into the rest of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Would anyone else like to be heard on this matter? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
Muhammad Idris. I heard my friend just spoke on the 3 stories. I've been coming down here since 1991. And people are fighting to stop 3 stories from being built because it killed the scenery. You can't see the natural environment that God has given us. We see the artificial life that is being put on us. It would have been one thing if it was 3-story, but they lied, said 3-story. Now, some of these buildings are 12 stories. They are looking like New York City every day. And we know what kind of agony that is causing the people of New York City. I believe the people are pushing them this way here. But the former mayor, told the people that they weren't going no higher than 3-story. So you all do have, and no disrespect, something is wrong with the brain. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Anyone else like to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, it comes to council. Motion to approve. Any comments or questions? I will just would like to make a comment that speaking of Mayor Riley and the former council, I believe these height districts was set up primarily to retain the medical university and our hospital district. And so the real underlying purpose here is really to make sure that extra entitlement is reserved for those kinds of uses and not for other residential uses. And so it maintains the integrity and purpose of our hospital district, which is our highest employment per acre, not just in the city of Charleston, in the state of South Carolina. More people work in that dense little spot of the hospital district of Charleston than anywhere else. So anyway, that's really the underlying purpose I thought I would share. Councilmember Ware.
Mr. Mayor, you're spot on. Some of us may remember there was a movement decades ago for medical university to leave the peninsula because they needed to grow. And that's why the Heights District was approved, and just as the mayor said, to keep those jobs on the peninsula. I mean, medical university is the largest employer in the city of Charleston. So we didn't want those jobs to leave the peninsula, and we accommodated that growth. Thanks.
That's right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Now for 3rd reading and ratification. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 4.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So this next one is to establish zoning for a property that had previously been annexed. This is at 1804 Able Street. This would be to zone it as SR1, which is the comparable district to the R4 county designation that it was previously. This is in our neighborhood edge, which is appropriate for an SR1 designation. The neighborhood edge is our periphery existing neighborhood, future neighborhood designation. Here are some pictures of the property, and Planning Commission had recommended 7-0 for approval.
Right. Would anyone like to be heard on this matter? You're good? All right. Anyone else? All right, comes to the council.
Move for approval.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 5.
So this is another zoning to establish or action to establish zoning on a recently annexed property. This is also in an R4 county area. And the proposal here is to the SR1 as well. As you can see, we have SR1 just further south on Canary Street. And so again, this is the appropriate zoning. Sorry. Here we are in our suburban edge versus our neighborhood edge in the previous designation. But again, this is a general suburban character, which again is appropriate for the SR1. lower density development. And here are some pictures or a picture of the property. Again, this is an existing residence that's recently been annexed into the city. Planning Commission had recommended 7-0 for the SR1 designation.
Okay. Would anyone like to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, it comes
Move
to
for approval.
council. We have a motion to approve in a second. I think this is in Councilmember Shealy's district. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 6.
So number 6 is at 1940 Capri Drive. This is a single family residential zone request for an SR1. Again, neighboring properties in the county prior to annexation were the R4 designation. This property is in our low impact and conserve zone. The SR1 in this case is appropriate as it would be the most closely conforming zoning district that we have to the existing development on the property. So while new development on a low impact or conserve, we wouldn't necessarily look to see the current development pattern. We believe this is the appropriate zoning to establish for this property given its existing nature. Again, low impact and conserve is our lowest lying area with potential development. Here's a picture of the property, and the Planning Commission had recommended 7-0 for approval.
Great. Would anyone like to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, it comes to council. We got a motion to approve. Any discussion?
I'm moving for approval for 1940 Capri Drive.
1940 Capri Drive. There you go. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next is to approve our city council minutes from May 24th only. Any deletions, additions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next up is our citizens' participation period.
And Mr. Mayor, we have 24 people signed up to speak. That includes the speakers who have signed up online.
Cut it close for a minute.
All right, the time is 1 minute. John Baker.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is John Baker, 110 Carriage Hill Place, 29492. And I spend some of my life at 162 Cummings Street as well. I'm here on behalf of Charleston Firefighters Local 61. The backbone of this city are the employees who keep operations in place 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It's the employee who works ungodly amounts of overtime, yet they can't even think about affording a home in this city or surrounding areas. The city is facing a major crisis when it comes to morale, retention, livability, and pay. The fire department's revolving door should rattle any politician and taxpayer whose dollars are being thrown away as firefighters leave this city. With massive expansion plan now and for the coming years, the number of vacancies will increase as retirements and others leave for better paying and benefit-driven departments. The quickest way to get out of the hole is to stop digging. This council has an opportunity to lay a concrete foundation.
Time. Michael Campbell.
Michael Campbell, Charleston Fire Department. 15 years in 3 fire department administrations, and we're still fighting for a livable wage while serving this city. Shame on the guy who's from the city who said in the last meeting that we sleep for 8 hours while working a 24-hour shift. How convenient he can rest well because of our oath to protect and serve. How can a firefighter sleep for 8 hours when the incidents we respond to become greater and greater, and also our community risk reduction obligations increase? How can we sleep for 8 hours when we face the possibility of being forced to work because staffing is short and having to juggle part-time jobs to take care of our families? Financially, while being physically absent. Oh, and not to forget that we could become injured or worse, lose our lives. The stress of this job is insurmountable. Shame on you, Charleston, for not paying the firefighters what they're worth. Charleston sleeps easy at night because of our oath to this city. Now acknowledge that and pay us what we're worth. Not sit here and say we are paid what we paid because we sleep at work. Y'all pay us for what we may have to do.
Thank you, sir.
Nick Boyer.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for having me. City of Charleston Fire Department. I've been with the city going on 11 years. I did not want to have to come down here tonight, but after watching one of the presentations the HR committee gave, I felt obligated to come down here and just say how aggravating it was that the issues being conveyed to you about our hours worked and how we're paid were just so misconstrued. I hope you guys do not devalue our hour and you understand that when people are leaving the fire department, the number one reason is the pay. 2 weekends ago, I got that phone call Saturday morning, 8 a.m. I got forced overtime. I missed my kids sing the national anthem at the River Dogs game. 2 years ago, I got a phone call on Easter Sunday, missed church with my kids, missed seeing them play, do the Easter egg hunts. I hope you guys understand that we're worth more than what is being conveyed to you. Thank you.
Travis Randall.
Travis Randall, City of Charleston Fire Department. Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. I wonder if the number one tourist destination multiple times throughout the world is embarrassed about how we have to come to you and ask about this. I am. I feel I shouldn't have to be here to do this, to say this, but we have to stand up. We have to say that something needs to be done better for us. We enjoy our job. We love our job. We love taking care of the people. We're asking you all to take care of us. Mr. Gregory, you said you have our back. We need you to prove it.
Patrick Moyer.
How you doing? I've been with the fire department for 7 years, and at the ripe age of 31, I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing good people leave. I'm tired of hearing, "Oh, don't worry about it. You'll be able to afford a house a couple more years down the road." I'm tired of empty promises by appointed and elected officials. And I'm afraid that we are losing good, experienced firefighters, more than 10 years on the job. Those are the guys that teach the younger guys how to do the job, how to save money when forcing a door, or things that will eventually could save your life or mine.
Zach Basidi.
A year ago, the city indicated they would be expanding its pedicab program. Based on that promise, my associates and I acquired bikes, insurance, and obtained a lease on a downtown warehouse. We secured the support of our neighborhood association and knocked on doors to gain consent and hear input from residents. We successfully were granted a variance at a BAR meeting. My co-owners and I have also met and spoke with several of you. We've made public comment in numerous city council meetings. And in fact, based on our comments, laws regarding the procurement issue were changed by this deliberative body. Today, I'm here to ask you what else is required to start my business. In emails, I've asked about the timing of the bid as well as getting an opportunity to talk, but I'm hearing mixed answers. This body tells me it is up to procurement and transportation. Transportation tells me it is up to this body. Please support small business and make common sense timelines available and accessible to entrepreneurs. These people really drive this city.
Anthony Bryant.
I was actually the first person to sign, so I don't know what this is all about. Okay, I don't know what this is about. I was the first person to sign when I walked in the door. So I'm not happy about that. But what I will say is the U.S. Attorney of South Carolina made a statement in terms of a blanketed assertion of all African Americans and low to moderate income communities that he could throw on these federal charges, hold them in jail like cattle. And so therefore, the city of Charleston's police chief made a statement. ATF hasn't had a director in 7 years. The DEA just got a director. So you don't even control federal program and activity. So why are you going around the Black community saying, asking for our vote for Biden, and now you're gonna lock us up? And let's get the Black women vote and the white women vote and throw us in jail. What it sounds like. So I'm gonna give you all this information to give back to the U.S. Marshals, U.S. Attorney, and everybody else, and right here, because I've been born and raised in Charleston. I ain't going nowhere. Okay?
Brian Axelrod.
My name is Brian Axelrod. I'm president of Local 61 Charleston Firefighters Association. I'm asking you this evening, to consider a fair pay increase and an adjustment for future pay plans for the firefighters for the city. We believe the city could generate more income for this matter by creating a special firefighter tax or adjusting the millage rate to help account the city for first responder services. The city could also stop giving back lost funds and use that to supplement the revenue. The proposed 22% for non-sworn and 5% for sworn may on paper seem fair, but if passed, that would be 38.7% for non-sworn and 9.8% for sworn in the past 4 years. Every employee in the city deserves more, but I ask you, why are the sworn members of the city left behind? Just 3 years ago, the city gave non-sworn employees a 6.3 to 8.7% cost of living allowance, while sworn members received 2%. Since the suggestion is to give a 27% increase to all employees, why not divide it 13.5 for non-sworn and 13.5 for sworn?
Time. Tom Berteau.
Hello, my name is Tom Berta. I live at 439 Matterwood Lane. I'm here to speak up about the problems and effects of health caused by light pollution. I met with the mayor about this, and Councilman Brady asked me to come speak a little bit. This is an issue that we have, and I know the city is working on it. We need to get more shielded lights to have the lights go down. It's atrocious when you come across the Ashley River Bridge and you see those lights shooting up in the air. They should be pointed down. It also can save the city up to 75% on energy cost if we do the right thing. Look at the AMA June 14, 2016 report on the health issues that light pollution causes to everybody, especially women with breast cancer. We need to address this. So please look at setting up a committee to address these issues. That's all I'm asking. Thank you very much.
Thomas Clark.
Mr. Clark. You can take off.
Good evening. My name is Fox Clark and I am 10 years old. Since I was 5, my family and I have been cleaning up litter at Gadsden Creek. In 2020, the Dutch dialogue said that Gadsden Creek needed to be saved and restored. City Council voted to approve the Dutch dialogues, and I thought that's a relief. Now City Council has done a 180 and voted to put buildings and parking lots on top of Gadsden Creek. Retention ponds, like the one you want to put in, are breeding pools for dangerous disease-causing bacteria. I have seen this firsthand at Colonial Lake with various bioindicators. I respectfully beg you to listen to the scientists and us kids too. In a matter of days, my brother and I have collected hundreds of signatures from Charleston County residents that are strongly against this. Your job as elected officials is to listen to your constituents and vote accordingly. My brother and I have learned from our teachers and our parents that protecting our environment matters, and that when we harm nature, we harm ourselves too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, young man. You're very well spoken. The future is bright.
William Clark. Okay. Michelle Brandt. Michelle.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Brandt. So we're here to remind you all of the law, South Carolina DHEC Regulation 3012, Special Project Standards for tidal lands and coastal water, which says the creation of a commercial and residential lot strictly for private gain is not a legitimate justification for filling of wetlands. West Edge proposes to fill Gadsden Creek and replace it with 3 hotels, high-end condos, an office space, and more parking on this federally protected and fully functioning tidal wetland. In addition, the regulatory law, again, DHEC's own law states, dredging and filling the wetland areas should only be undertaken if the activity is water dependent or there are no feasible alternatives. An example of a water dependent activity is a port, marina, or pier, which is clearly not what's being proposed. There have been clear and feasible alternatives to filling the creek that have been proposed as solutions that would both fix flooding and issues repair the few places along the bank where the landfill cap has eroded. We are simply asking you to follow the law. Thank you.
Diane Hamilton. Diane Hamilton.
Good evening. The Honorable Mayor Tecklenburg and members of Charleston City Council. I am Diane Hamilton, a lifelong resident of the Maryville-Ashleyville community. And I wish to thank you for your support of the construction of the Carl Richardson Park located on Bender Street. This is not just a passive park, but a unique vehicle connecting our past to the present and to the future. As the project fast approaches completion, I'm asking you, while working on the new budget for the city, to include funding for the appropriate signage and interpretation of the park. Thank you for your continued support of the residences of Maryville-Ashleyville. Thank you.
Carlton Swift.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm Carlton Swift. I am the president of the DuPont Station Neighborhood Coalition. I'd like to say a few words in support of a proposed park on Wapu Road in West Ashley. Tourism has bounced back and we are grateful. We'd like to encourage the city of Charleston to invest some of the surplus tourism revenue this year in West Ashley, specifically toward the proposed passive park at the WPAL radio transmitter on Wapu Road. Plans for the park include a boardwalk over the marsh, a quarter-mile hiking trail, as well as a much-needed place to launch kayaks. We all deserve equitable access to the water. WPAL would be a perfect location for West Ashley to experience and enjoy the Stono River. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Arthur Lawrence.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. The other day, the people on Sumter Street called help desk number of times, no help. And they finally called a young lady named Simona. She got on the phone and she took care of the emergency, and the problem on Sumter Street was a drain wide open. Kids, adults could fall in it. No help from help desk. But I want to thank Councilman Gregory for making sure that the situation got taken care of immediately, and he did that. That's what a good councilman do, take care of the people in his district. And the other thing, when the incident happened the other day in the city of Charleston, these people come from North Charleston criticizing our police department. But they supposed to step up. They don't have a clue when they came down here. We have a fantastic police department in the city of Charleston. Those people come from outside criticizing our police department. Keep on working hard.
Muhammad Idris.
Council Mayor, I should be given more time because I was the second one who signed up. I don't know how I got to be so far behind, but understanding the leadership. Rusty Thomas was an excellent fire chief. He lost his job because of the super fire. Mayor Riley should have gotten put out of office for that situation, not Rusty Thomas. Rusty Thomas was an excellent fire chief. He did a wonderful job, and Chief Reuben Greenberg did a wonderful job as a police chief. The two terrible people we have had in this city for the last going on 50 years is your present mayor and the former one who went back to the Citadel. Thank you.
Todd Bukima.
My name is Todd Bukema. I live down the street on Broad. I attend St. Stephen's Episcopal Church and I support environmental justice. I've attended other city council meetings this year and have been struck by repeated statements by citizens of Charleston who have been forced to move from their established communities due to contaminated soil, only to see their properties used by others for financial gain. I'm speaking today to remind you that it is not only the displaced residents who are frustrated and irate. There are many other Charlestonians who feel strongly that these past practices should be redressed and not repeated. I'm speaking specifically of the intention of West Edge Foundation, Inc. to fill in what remains of Gadsden Creek and its associated wetlands. For Gadsden Creek and the nearby Gadsden Green community, we ask for revitalization and reparations, not actions to take, fill, and flip. This community has a long history of racially motivated disenfranchisement dating back to the 1870s. City Council has the opportunity in 2022 to make amends and bend the arc of the moral universe back towards justice. Thank you.
Lynn J.
I'm Lynn Cool J, and I'm with KJM, and I'm here representing thousands of citizens who are opposed to the city's reckless plans to destroy Gadsden Creek and fill in the wetlands. This forever action would be detrimental to the existing flooding mitigation and also to the folks who live in the area. The city understands how this works. I was here at the May 24th meeting when you all voted down to cede half an acre of land off of 3rd Avenue. And some of the things that were said were like, to give up any perimeter just does not make sense as part of the city's comprehensive plan. Well, this is 4 acres, including a creek, 4 acres. And we need to apply the same thing. I know it's happened in the past. We can change our minds. You know, they have everyday flooding there now, sunny day flooding. So profits shouldn't hold your gaze. People should, and we should reevaluate and let us repair the harm that the city has brought to this area for over a century.
Time.
Recognize.
Donna.
Beyond this, that the council members should all be paying attention and to not look at a 10-year-old when they come to speak about this is kind of beyond the pale.
Donna Daniel.
$1549 Burning Tree Road. I can't believe my husband and I are still having to come and ask for help about reducing the traffic and closed road situation. It's been almost 2 years now. Thank you for the traffic study. It proved our concerns, but nothing has happened to control the amount of traffic on the corner of Burning Tree in Frampton. The other 2 entrance and exit points are still illegally closed. Opening those would give our family some relief of the 24/7 car traffic that we have to endure. Mayor, you were talking to the community the other day and said that we as a community should not be comfortably silent when bad things happen. You and your council members have been comfortably silent when it comes to our situation. And why are you staying comfortably silent?
Time. Tony Daniel.
Good afternoon, Mayor. As you instructed, I'm only speaking to you. Last time I was here, you said, talk to you. Christianity teaches us that, among other things, to get into heaven, you have to have grace. And grace is the opposite of karma. It is the forgiveness, the pardoning of those who have done you wrong, things you don't agree with. I am working on forgiving you. I'm not there yet. I'm working on forgiving Rossapel for lying to me. I'm not there yet. I'm trying my best. Thank you.
Jerome Harris.
Jerome Harris, 520 East City Cove Drive. At a recent council meeting, there was discussion about swimming lessons on the Recreation Department not being happened this summer. I haven't heard anything reported publicly that that has been resolved. Hope the council and the mayor will address that. On your agenda tonight is a report on the municipal court. I want to point out to you that two of the reports coming out of that report is one, that the court is now independent, realigned, and two, it has data collection capacity that will allow it now to assess racial impact, disparity, should there be any. Those are two recommendations that were included in the special commission report. I urge the members of City Council who serve on other committees to examine those reports for other recommendations that you can act on and not wait for the 4 or 5 months it will take the HARC, which has met, thank God, to get back to you. This should be a two-way street. Thank you very much.
Marcus McDonald. Marcus McDonald. Michelle Brandt. I think you're right. Hector Kirko. Kyle Kelly.
Kyle Kelly. A lot of you know me as Uncle Kyle with the Ugly Christmas Sweater Store on King Street. I've had it for 9 years and been a part of the community. Today I'm here as Kyle Kelly, inventor and creator of Charleston's very own e-carriage. It's got a beautiful sound to it, doesn't it? Charleston's very own e-carriage. Problem is we have to get it on the street, and I need some help to do that. I'm asking for an amendment to be placed to make this happen. It's not a carriage, it's a slow-moving vehicle. I've talked to the DMV in Columbia, as well as the Department of Regulatory Staff. Jurisdiction falls on Charleston's City Council and the Mayor's office to make this happen. I've spoken with them. This is not to compete with the current tourism industry. This is only an alternative means. When people come to Charleston, they have a choice. They can go on a carriage tour. Not everyone wants to do that for their own personal beliefs. The other choice is to go for a walking tour. Well, it's 95 degrees and that's no fun either. This gets this basket of people in the middle that everyone is missing. And that's where this creation, it was created here in Charleston.
And those were all the speakers that we had signed up. We did receive 2 comments. One citizen asked to change the course over filling Gadsden Creek and said the city was not listening to citizen opposition or the science regarding destroying the creek. The trajectory could be reversed by thoughtful discourse and a new vote, but the members were threatening the ecological system of the peninsula and the future of the Gadsden Green community. Marcia Higgins, lifelong resident of the Maryville-Ashleyville community, thanked the city for their support of the construction of the Carr Richardson Park located on Bender Street. She said it would be a unique vehicle connecting their past to the present and future. As the project approached completion, she asked the city include in the new budget funding for appropriate signage and interpretation of the park. And those were all the comments we received.
Thank you. So that wraps up our citizens' participation. We want to thank you all for being with us and for you sharing your comments with us tonight. Thank you. All right, next up is our petitions and communications. We got appointments to the Army Corps by 3x3 Advisory Committee.
I'd like to move approval for 1A and B, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Any discussion on those 2 items? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have a presentation from Eli Polikoff on the Charleston Redevelopment Corporation. I think this was also part of our recent Community Development Committee, but we asked that a quick update be given to the council at large with all the fine work and partnership that Eli and the CRC have been doing with us. Eli?
Thank you, Mayor and members of
And
council.
thank you for your service, by the way. as
Well, thank
chair.
you, and thanks City Council for y'all's strong support of this. I'm Eli Polikoff. I'm chairman of the Charleston Redevelopment Corporation. This is F.A. Johnson, who is our CEO. The CRC is a nonprofit that was formed by the city, Historic Charleston, and the Housing Authority, and the CRC focuses on the development and preservation of affordable housing in Charleston. We have an all-volunteer board. Gianna Shaw Johnson is the vice chair, Diane Hamilton, who is here, is our secretary. Cheryl Ferraro is our treasurer. And as I mentioned, FA is our CEO. I'm very proud that we're an active organization. Since 2019, we've acquired Sea Islands on Johns Island. We just acquired North Central Apartments downtown. We've constructed single-family homes in Rosemont and Maryville, Ashleyville, and we currently have multiple projects that are in development across the city. These efforts have helped to add or preserve over 200 units in the city, and the city has been a strong supporter of these efforts. In 2019, city staff recommended a $400,000 allocation to the CRC for administrative and operational costs. City Council allocated 1/3 in 2019. So the request today is to authorize the remaining 2/3, which is about $268,000. And this comes from the larger city LDC settlement. We believe we have a proven track record, and with your help, we can continue to build on that record. Thank you, Mayor.
Great. Any questions for Mr. Polykoff? FA and Eli, thank you for your service, and Ms. Hamilton on the board as well. Over a couple of hundred units saved and produced just in a couple of years' time, I think is a great track record, and we thank you for your efforts. All right, so next up is council communications. We have a discussion on the status of the Hart composition and the mayor's authority of appointing a commission member in the absence of a council member not recommending an appointment. Councilmember Shea.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'll try to keep this real brief. I just know that some of our colleagues had problems finding a person to nominate for the park. And I posed this question to Ms. Copeland about whether or not this would revert to the mayor authority in the event that someone could not find an appointment. So I just think for future references, when we create these commissions and we have the opportunity as a member of council to make an appointment, that we put ourselves on a timeline. If we're unable to fulfill that appointment, that it automatically reverts to the mayor's authority to find that placement. And I think that's happened a couple of times. It's just, I think just mentioned that we had finally a meeting of the commission, and they got delayed. Jerry's still here. It got delayed, and I think some of the delay was just getting it together. So for future reference, I just recommend that we put either a time limit on our appointments. If not, then it goes right back to you, Mayor, to make that appointment yourself.
All right. Any further discussion? Councilmember Waring?
Do you have a feel for the time frame? I mean, I think it's a great idea, but I mean, what would be the time frame before it converts back?
Probably 15 to 30 days, I would suspect. I mean, we go through these commissions. We saw the process and how long it took to get it together. And then we know this is coming down the pike. And I immediately had an appointment in mind. But it goes through first reading, second and third reading. So I would think that after it's enacted, 15 days would be sufficient.
All right. Would anyone else like to be heard on this matter? On council, Councilmember Gregory?
How many council members did not appoint? Oh. Is it one or two?
We're down to two, but one of those council members is going to, I understand he's going to agree to serve on the commission himself, in which case he doesn't get an appointment. So really, we're down to one. All right. Any further comments or discussion? Hearing none, we'll go on to our council committee reports. First up is,
Mr. Mayor.
Sorry. First, we have a discussion regarding proposed light pollution ordinance. Councilmember Brady.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, members of council. As you heard from Mr. Berta, he is a constituent of mine, and I had the pleasure of getting to sit down and chat with him about the concept of light pollution in the city. And he brought up some interesting requests as part of that. And one of them had to do with taking a look at, as we go through street light replacements, having lights that actually point downwards to the ground, which if you go to the Harris Teeter on Bees Ferry Road, you can see those lights in action. They're much more efficient, don't spill light up into the air. And I thought it was something that council should consider, especially because there's energy savings in it for the city, which is people who mind the public purse strings. Anything we can do to reduce our monetary output, I thought was worthy of consideration. But also just from a livability perspective, just like we have a noise ordinance where our residents can't produce noise at a decibel level that would disturb a neighbor, or a business can't do that. As we see some commercial development occurring in and near residential areas, it struck me that we control the amount of noise that they would output and also the noise that the construction outputs, but we don't have any type of regulation on the books looking at the amount of visible light that these businesses and other residences could put off that could disturb their neighbors. So I would like to ask my colleagues on council if this is something that we could refer to the Committee on Public Works and Utilities to have staff begin, both the sustainability staff and livability, looking at best practices, what other cities might be doing, what other coastal cities might be doing. Because I know also in talking to some folks on Johns Island about this, especially as I have the urban growth boundary both on Johns Island and on Bees Ferry Road. Light can also impact the wildlife as we get close to the urban growth boundary. So I'd like to ask that this get referred to Public Works and Utilities for consideration and have staff begin to look into that.
All right. Any discussion on the matter? I'll share with council that Tom, Mr. Burton, he came to Mayor's Night In and shared the same information with me, and I shared it with Jason Kronsberg and with our sustainability director, Katie McCain. And they did start looking at other cities, what they've done in regards to light pollution. And I got a little education myself. Like Tom pointed out that our street lights, if you leave City Hall, you'll note there's glass, not just on the sides, but even on the upper side of the fixture. And so if just you had a little different design and those upper panels were opaque and didn't allow light to go up, you disallow some of that light from going up, and it would all be pointed down. So I do think when we do our franchise agreement again with SCANA, which will just be, we're starting to negotiate that, by the way, we could certainly have this as an item with them to talk about what kind of design we get on future streetlights and help, deter the amount of light pollution that what's that? Dominion. I call them SCNG. Okay, I'll probably take that to my grave. Okay, so anyway, we are starting to look at this matter anyway, for what it's worth. Any other discussion or thoughts on it? All right, thank you, Councilmember Brady, for bringing that to us. Next up is our Committee on Traffic and Transportation. Back to you, Councilmember Brady.
And as I was away from Charleston, Councilmember Seekings actually chaired the meeting, so I'd like to turn it over to him.
Oh, that's right.
Councilmember Seekings is also out, and he asked me to report on the minutes from the Traffic and Transportation Committee meeting. We met on June 15th, 2022. We approved a modification to the signal maintenance contract with the SCDOT, increased that by $2,500. We also approved 2 speed humps on Mount Pleasant Street in the Wagner Terrace neighborhood. And lastly, we approved a request to have a public hearing for speed reduction on Wayfarer Lane. That concludes our report.
Was any of those items need approval by council? Yeah.
Move for approval.
We have a motion to approve the committee report. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Next up, our Committee on Public Safety, Councilmember Shade.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Committee on Public Safety met on June 16th at 1 o'clock. We received and municipal court update from our wonderful judge, Susan Ferdinand. You should have gotten a copy of this very multi-page document. I'm not going to read it to you. One of the concerns I had is that the court administrator had retired in December. And it was just mentioned to you earlier, Susan has sort of taken over the position as the court administrator's slot until we hire a new executive director of that. That was one of my concerns with how the court was administrating in her absence. I think we were in the process of getting that addressed. And we have created more as a independent body, the municipal court system, to sort of be in line with what we're accustomed to in our system of government, of 3 branches of government. So there's a lot of things that have happened with the court system. That's been one of them. It's in line with what the special commission had recommended as well, is to maintain that. And just as a side comment, as we think about our municipal court system, one of the most, I made this comment at our committee meeting. It really is one of the most important clogs in our government. And it's not something we should need to be overlooking. Because folks who appear in front of our municipal court, this may be their only opportunity or their only exposure to how the judiciary works. And we want folks to have a positive impact, a positive experience doing that. It may be a traffic ticket, it may be something with a criminal offense. But also what's really important is that what happens in municipal court on a charge of such driving under suspension or driving under the influence of simple possession of marijuana, or even property-related crimes, it serves as what we call the legal community as a predicate offense. And Councilman Bowden understands this all too well in his role as a defense lawyer, that offense, if they're convicted, can lead to an enhanced punishment if they're convicted of a similar drug offense or DUI or DUS offense, that it exasperates their penalty and sometimes gets into a minimum mandatory. So we want to make sure that those folks who come into municipal court, all the rights are protected, and also to address the issues and make sure our victims have an opportunity to be heard as well. So it was a wonderful report from Susan, Judge Ferdina, I'm sorry. But in spite of the challenges with losing the court administrator, COVID, they have really made a dent on the number of cases that we were concerned about on trials that were being delayed. Those numbers have come down significantly. So it was a very good report. We're trying to do this on a more consistent basis to sort of take the temperature of what's going on with the municipal court. So nothing to vote on what was reported, but just to give you all an update as to what we had. Judge McFarland and Mr. Harris, the president at the meeting, we gave them an opportunity to address a couple of concerns as well, and appreciate their input on this and their persistence with me on making sure we address these particular issues. We also got an update on the emergency management department. Shannon had retired. Mayor addressed that concern for us that we've got something in place. The timing was a little off because it's the start of hurricane season. So we wanted to make sure that the community was made aware that we were advertising for Shannon's replacement, but we've got a temporary fix in place while we're looking for a new manager. We also got an update on our rental registry pilot program. Robert is still here. He gave us an update on where we stand with that. We're looking at it from a pilot standpoint on a certain neighborhood on the peninsula. Some of the comments were also to require people who rent property in the community to get a business license. So I think we'll hopefully, Robert, have something before council.
By the next meeting.
By the next meeting.
We'll bring it to the next public safety committee first.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Community development.
Community development. Okay, sorry about that.
But a very good update on that. And finally, the last thing that we have to vote on to approve is that we approve an ordinance to amend the Fire Prevention and Protection Article 3 code. This was just to make sure that we're up to date with changes in the fire code That was approved unanimously, and I move that we approve item
Second.
number 6.
Second.
All right, any discussion on that? That's mostly a correction, updating our code for fire marshals.
Right.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Councilmember Shade. Next is our Committee on Community Development, Councilmember Mitchell.
Community Development had 3 items. We met on June 16 at 3 p.m. and we had 3 items and all of us approved. So I'm asking for approval of it.
Got a second on that? Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next is our Committee on Public Works and Utilities.
All actionable items in the report were voted on unanimously, and I so move.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Wow, we're setting a precedent here. Council, next up is Committee on Ways and Means.
Second as amended.
As amended. Any discussion on any of that? Councilmember
I do
Ware.
have one item, the
Yes,
piece
sir.
about the discussion, Councilman Appel, with trying to help out with kids in swimming. Can you touch on that?
Well, we had a very robust conversation this afternoon at our joint recreation and real estate committee meeting about swimming lessons and access. The city of Charleston's been having a difficult time hiring lifeguards and swim instructors. And it's not just us, the Charleston County struggling with hiring lifeguards at their facilities at the beach and the water parks and things of that nature. So it's a real problem. And so the city has reserved lanes in our aquatic facilities for rental by private folks so that they could then turn around and retain their own private swim instructors. And, you know, there's some equity issues associated with that if folks can't afford it. And we had a good discussion today about ways we can come up with some creative solutions. I know Councilman Gregory had some good ideas, and so did several of my colleagues. And my understanding is that we're going to be, and the mayor, absolutely. The mayor found 33 grand this afternoon out of nowhere. I mean, that was the fastest 33 grand I think I've ever seen made. But it's that kind of smart thinking and creative solutions that are going to be needed in the 21st century, because I just think the days of us, you know, being able to hire an army of, you know, municipal swim instructors, it's just maybe not foreseeable for the near term. So we've got facilities, we've got great community partners out there, and we got to find ways to put these pieces together to provide the services at the end of the day that our constituents need. And safety around the water is just about as important as it gets. I mean, it goes without saying that we're the low country, we got water all around us, and it's very important, you know, black or white, rich or poor, everything in between, that folks are comfortable around the water. It's very important, and we got to find ways to deliver those services, even if it's not the traditional way we've been doing it for so many years. And so we had a really good conversation about that this afternoon, and I look forward to continued discussions and ways we can find solutions to that problem.
Thank you. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have our bills for second reading. I think we have 11 items on.
1 through 11.
We're going to have a
Amendment
motion
needed.
to approve all 1 through 11. Any discussion on any of those?
Sorry, just real
Councilmember
quickly, I got to recuse myself from number 11, but I'm good with everything else. I'll meet you halfway, Jennifer.
Appel recuses himself from number 11. Any discussion on any of those items? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
You oppose, the ayes have it. Now,
Move
for
for
third
approval.
reading and ratification of 1 through 11. Any discussion? We still have the recusal on number 11 from Mr. Appel.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have one bill up for first reading.
Move for approval.
We have a motion to approve, and we have a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Gregg.
Yes, this is the, we deferred this last meeting. This is a rezoning from light industrial to SR2 on Clements Ferry Road in District 1. I am going to vote to approve this first reading, noting that I'm not comfortable with the development as it stands. We have a lot of concerns about traffic in the area as well as the conditions of the roads for this particular development. So we'll vote to approve it and hopefully get some work done between now and the second reading.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Does anybody have an announcement or something they want to take up about 45 seconds while I sign these other bills?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Chase.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. That's what I was going to say.
Yes, that should be, that is our meeting date for tonight. So we don't have to worry about that one anymore. We do need to hear back though from council members regarding the workshop on the King Street bid. I've only heard from about half and we were looking at Tuesday, June 28th, which is a week from now. So if you could please let me know as soon as possible so we can schedule that and let staff know.
Councilmember Shade.
Thank you, Mayor. I just did not want this meeting to pass without recognizing that we commemorated and marked the 7th anniversary of Mother Emanuel Massacre. But I know we had some very good programs to commemorate and mark that day. Councilmember Shealy and I attended Saturday, the 15th anniversary of the Charleston 9 Sulphur Superstore fire. Kudos to Chief Courier and the entire fire department. The ceremony is very simple. It's very direct, but in simplicity, it just really carries a message that we should not forget what happened out there. And thank you for your comments, Mayor. You were out there as well on Saturday. So thank you all. And just remember, we keep these men, the survivors in our prayers always for what the work that they have done.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Parker.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just also wanted to point out that thank you for the, I think we teamed up with Trident Waste to kind of help. Just wanted to touch on that. I know it's not in the agenda, but I know a lot of our constituents have been having trouble. So I don't know if that came out of Public Works or if that was just something that you decided to implement. But hopefully that'll help our environmental services team. I don't see Mr. Altup here, but I think it's a great thing to do for our citizens, since this is something I know in my district we battle with a lot.
Well, thank you. It gives us a little flexibility. And tonight at Ways and Means, we did approve an adjustment to our contract with them that enables us to do this on as needed basis. So, I mean, within the limits of some budgetary amount, but we have now the flexibility so that if Matt sees he's getting behind on Monday or Tuesday, he can go ahead and make a call, and normally next day they can send in some of the cavalry to help us.
Great. And I'm sure our environmental services team, appreciate it.
Great, absolutely. Councilmember Saccharin, did you have something a minute ago? Did I? Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, we're meeting next month. I don't see the right date here. And please reply to Madam Clerk about the special meeting. We stand adjourned. I could be wrong, but I think that's a record for a summer meeting.